Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. Happy Wednesday here today. We're halfway through the week, halfway through our final week of movies that star musicians, and today we're going to take a look at 8 Mile, starring Eminem, Kim Basinger, Mekhi Phifer, Brittany Murphy, Anthony Mackie, Evan Jones, Omar Benson Miller, D'Angelo Wilson, Eugene Bird, Taryn Manning, Michael Shannon, Proof, and Exhibit. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's halfway through our final week of movies that star musicians, and today we're going to take a look at our last hip-hop led film, Eminem in 8 Mile. And our movie takes place in 1995, and Jimmy is an aspiring rapper who performs under the stage name B Rabbit. Jimmy is a blue-collar worker from a poor family who resides in a Detroit, Michigan trailer park. After breaking up with his girlfriend Janine, Jimmy moves back into the trailer park home of his alcoholic mother, Stephanie, his sister Lily, and Stephanie's abusive live-in boyfriend, Greg. Although encouraged by his friends, Jimmy worries about his potential as a rapper after he chokes one night during a rap battle at the Shelter, a local venue, causing him to leave the stage humiliated. Now, during the day, Jimmy works at a car factory. Desperate for money, Jimmy asks his boss for some extra shifts, but his request is bluntly dismissed due to his habitual tardiness. Later on, Jimmy befriends a woman named Alex, and he begins to take more responsibility for the direction of his life. Stephanie discovers an eviction notice as Jimmy is getting ready for work one morning, and despite her best attempts to keep the eviction a secret, Greg discovers it and confronts her. When Jimmy punches Greg for pushing his mother to the ground, they fight, ending in Greg leaving Stephanie for good. Now, Jimmy's friend Wink has ties to a record label promoter. However, their friendship becomes strained after he discovers that Wink is doing promotional work for Jimmy's rivals, a rap group known as the Leaders of the Free World. At one point, Jimmy and his friends get into a violent brawl with the Free World crew, which is disrupted when Jimmy's friend Cheddar pulls out a gun and accidentally shoots himself in the leg. He's able to survive after being rushed to the hospital. During a lunch break at work one day, one of Jimmy's coworkers performs a freestyle rap, insulting a gay coworker named Paul. So Jimmy raps a freestyle in defense of Paul. Alex shows up and she is impressed by Jimmy's actions, and they engage in sexual intercourse. Wink arranges for Jimmy to meet with producers at a recording studio, but when Jimmy arrives, he discovers Wink having sex with Alex. Enraged, Jimmy attacks Wink as Alex tries to break them up. In retaliation, Wink and the Leaders of the Free World assault Jimmy outside of his trailer park home. The leader of the crew, Papa Doc, holds Jimmy at gunpoint and threatens to kill him, but Wink convinces him not to do it. After the group has left Jimmy alone, his mother arrives with enough money to pay to avoid eviction, having won $3,200 at a bingo tournament that evening. Jimmy's best friend and host of the battles at the Shelter, Future, pushes him to get revenge by competing against the Leaders of the Free World at the next rap battle. Jimmy agrees, but his boss having noticed an improved effort at work, asks Jimmy to do a late night shift. Jimmy agrees, but it conflicts with the battle at the shelter. Alex unexpectedly visits Jimmy at work that evening in order to say goodbye, as she is about to leave for New York, and she tells him that she is hoping to see him at the shelter that evening. This motivates Jimmy to do the battle, and he asks Paul to cover the start of his shift as a favor so that he can go to the battle. Now, in each round of the battle, Jimmy has to compete against members of the Free World crew. After handedly winning his first two rounds against Lickety Split and Lotto, he has to go up against Papa Doc in the finals. Getting the opportunity to go first, Jimmy preempts Papa Doc's entire potential insult arsenal, acknowledging his own white trash roots and difficult life. And he ends his battle by reputing Papa Doc's image as a thug by exposing his privileged background. Due to the fact that he attended a private school in a wealthy suburb and lives in a stable two-parent household. Embarrassed and with nothing to say in rebuttal, Papa Doc hands the microphone back to Future, conceding defeat in the battle. After being congratulated by Alex and his friends, Jimmy is offered a position as co-host of the battles at the shelter along with Future. Jimmy declines, saying that hosting is Future's thing, and he needs to do his own. Jimmy leaves the shelter to return to work, and our movie comes to its close. 8 Mile is one of those movies that I just can't get enough of. From the story to the soundtrack to the additional music from the times to the performances by the people in the movie. I mean, for as goofy and as stereotypical as Eminem's performance as Chris in The Wash was, which we discussed on Monday, 8 Mile was a complete 180 for Eminem. And for me, it really was kind of a, oh, this dude is more than just a comedian with some witty punchlines in his flows. This guy is someone who should really be taken seriously. Unfortunately, Eminem didn't have a movie career the way that LL Cool J, Prince, and some others in the business had, despite the fact that 8 Mile was essentially a hip hop Purple Rain, in the fact that Purple Rain was very autobiographical in a lot of ways for Prince, and 8 Mile was very autobiographical in a lot of ways for Eminem. The character of Future is essentially Proof, his longtime buddy and D12 bandmate, may he rest in peace. You know, there's a lot of similarities in the story to Marshall Mathers's true life upbringing. And I really wish that Eminem had gotten a little bit more of an opportunity to really spread out those acting wings, if you will, because he did so good in this. And then you factor in the stellar backup cast. Okay, Anthony Mackie. This was how I discovered Anthony Mackie, who of course is now the Falcon in the MCU. He's done other stuff, of course, between then. He was in Notorious as Tupac. He was in Pain and Gain alongside Dwayne Johnson. He was in The Night Before alongside Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen. The man has done quite a bit, but I will always remember him as Papa Doc in 8 Mile because he did so amazing that I took notice of Anthony Mackie. Likewise, Michael Shannon went on to be General Zod in Man of Steel. This is what I know him from, as Greg Buell. Eminem's mom's boyfriend. It took me a little bit to make the connection because it took me so long to see Man of Steel. But once I saw it and I saw him, I'm like, wait a minute. I recognize his face. What do I know him from? Research, 8 Mile. Oh, damn. Okay, he was there. Cool. Mekhi Phifer. I mean, Mekhi Phifer is an iconic actor, in my opinion, and I don't think he gets the flowers and the respect that he deserves in the acting community. Brittany Murphy, again, may she rest in peace, as Alex, the love interest, if you will. She did an amazing performance. She had a little bit of an innocence to her, but she also had that sass. And when Eminem's B Rabbit would start to kind of mouth off at her, you'd see that sass kind of kick in and realize that she could hold her own with Eminem. Then you had Exhibit as the guy freestyling at the lunch truck. You had a few other like underground Detroit MCs make cameos in the movie in different parts and battle scenes. Proof is the guy that Eminem choked to on stage in the beginning. The guy that basically is Future, like the part of the Future is based off of. Eminem chokes to him in the beginning of the movie. Like it's it's just one of those movies that if you've never seen it, where have you been? And if you have seen it, I don't know that many people that don't like it because it's a solid story with good acting. Eminem holds his own against heavyweights, like I said, like Mekhi Phifer and Brittany Murphy and even Anthony Mackie. And the music, I mean, you've got Lose Yourself, which won a freaking Oscar for this movie. I'm just saying, there's very few hip hop artists that have Grammys and Oscars. And Eminem is one of the few. When it comes to my rating of 8 Mile, I give it, honestly, 5 out of 5 stars. In my humble opinion, there is nothing wrong with this movie. It's well written, it's well acted, the pacing of the movie is good. There's not really any opportunities or moments where you're like, man, this movie's dragging. None. And I've seen it 100 times. So you would imagine the more I see it, the more you'd probably be like, okay, we can like skip this part. No. Everything that happens is integral to the story. And it really details the rise of Jimmy, of B Rabbit. 5 out of 5 stars for me for 8 Mile. What do you guys think? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. And if you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel as we go back into the vaults one more time for another week of Throwback Thursday content. Now, last week, a hearty conversation ended. So this week, we are going to be presenting in its spot the premiere episode of Double Down with Double A, in addition to all the content that you've grown accustomed to seeing on a weekly basis. Talk Wrestling, No DQ and AV, Renegade of Wrestling, Stat Boy Rants, Dads on Wrestling, the Indie Force Podcast, the No DQ Review, Open Mic Night, and the ATW View. All that classic content coming up again tomorrow on Throwback Thursday. And then I will be back here once again on Friday for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews as we wrap up our movies that star musicians with the twin talents of Cher and Christina Aguilera in burlesque. also starring Kristen Bell, Stanley Tucci, Alan Cumming, Julianne Hough, and Peter Gallagher. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that content, courtesy of NoDQ.com, the Jeff Meacham Network, the Simple Man brand, and the J. Hebert 95 Productions, as well as our final movie that stars musicians. Once again, you don't want to miss out on any of that content, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Eminem, fans of Mekhi Phifer, fans of Brittany Murphy, fans of Anthony Mackie, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to keep my visibility in YouTube's algorithms now that we are, in fact, a monetized channel. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me, tuned in today, and that helped me get to that status where we could be a monetized platform. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.